Hi, and welcome back to the Talking to No One YouTube channel, the channel where I talk to no one in particular, that is. My name is Ryan, and I have not told anyone in my personal life about this, no friends, no family. That's kind of why I'm calling it the Talking to Nobody channel. If you happen upon this, awesome, welcome. You are not nobody, you are somebody, so thank you for listening. I'm just talking to nobody that I know. So, anyway, today I'm going to be talking about how I got into the film industry and kind of like, how I've gotten here, what I've done to get here, what I've learned, sort of, all that kind of stuff. And I want to start by saying, like, I'm still learning. I'm still, like, figuring my way through this industry. I don't have all the answers. I'm not well connected. Like, I'm getting well connected, but I don't, I'm not a big hotshot, obviously. So anyway, yeah, so I guess I'll start from the beginning. I'll kind of keep this tidbit short at the beginning, but just my introduction is, like, I've always wanted to work in film ever since I was a kid, even though I didn't know that, specifically, necessarily. I remember watching, like, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody and Drake and Josh and all those kind of shows as a kid, and, like, wanting so badly to be, like, acting on there, because that's the only thing that I knew really existed in the film space was acting at that point. So I really wanted to, like, be on the sets and, like, work with those people, and any BTS stuff I could find on YouTube, I just ate that up. I just ate that kind of stuff up. And I was a big book reader for a lot growing up. So I knew I wanted to, like, write books. I didn't know at the time that, like, that writing movies or, like, for TV was, like, a job. It just didn't really occur to me until, middle or high school. But yeah, I remember coming home from first grade one day and, like, wanting to write a book. And so I, like, wrote a book. It was, like, I think 2 or 3 pages total, beginning to end. It was, like, a murder mystery. Like, the character names were very, like, first grader sort of names, like, Mr. Apple and, Dr. whatever. And then I remember, yeah, in 7th grade, me and my best friend at the time got, like, some of these notebooks, like these kind of things, and filled almost 2 of them up with, like, a book idea. So I actually wrote, like, 200 or so pages. I still have those at my parents' house somewhere. Be fun to maybe read through those sometime soon. And then around the time I was 13, same time period, my youngest cousin was born, and I remember, like, drawing and tracing these drawings and writing a little kid's book. And I actually have that at my parents' house too. Maybe I'll upload that to, like, a website or something when I get a website going. But yeah, just always wanted to, like, make stuff. I remember, like, in middle or high school, my parents got me Final Cut Pro just so I could, like, edit stuff, because I would use my iPod's camera, or, like, they had, like, an old camera that I would, like, film around the house with. And then I would, use that software to edit, kind of practice editing and all that kind of stuff. So I remember I wrote my first script on, like, Google Docs, because I didn't know there was, like, a format to do it. I kind of, like, I looked into it a little bit, so I kind of knew the format a little bit, so I kind of just try to mimic that on Docs, but it's just such a pain in the butt. If you've ever tried to do that, you'll know. So my parents got me a final draft for my graduation gift from high school, and a family friend came in and stayed with us for my graduation weekend, and me, him, and my brother, we were all about the same age, started writing, like, a feature film script. Like, we talked about, like, ideas, and I wanted to write something so bad because I had this new software, and we wrote in one afternoon, like, 20 pages. We wrote 20 pages of a script, and for those who don't know, 90 pages is about the minimum you want for like a feature-length thing, because it's about a page a minute or whatever. But we wrote 20 pages. We were making each other laugh. It was a really fun time. A couple days later, he had to go back because he didn't live in our area. My brother kind of lost interest because that's not really his passion. So I ended up putting it on Reddit just to get any sort of feedback. And this one guy, like, read it. He gave me notes, and he was like, "Hey, if you ever finish this, like, let me know. I'd love to read the rest of it." And so I'm going to kind of, put, like, a little mark in that to come back to later. But yeah, so around this time, I graduate high school. I start working on, like, background acting and stuff. And I do, like, 7 days on, like, on the movie Blockers with John Cena and Ike Barinholtz and Leslie Mann. Seth Rogen produces it. He's one of my idols. I got to see him in person. It was awesome. Get to be on a big movie set in Atlanta. And so over the summer, I kind of do more background stuff. And it's, like, seems like it's kind of cool. Like, maybe this is, like, something I can do, but it doesn't seem, like, super feasible still. Like, I wouldn't know how to do that, especially at 18, like, how to navigate all that. So I go to college. I start as, like, pre-dent because that seems like the right thing to do, I guess. And I make it all of about a week until I realize, oh, I don't want to be pre-dent. This is way too hard. I'm not good at science whatsoever. And so I end up switching to, like, a business degree. So I do that for a couple years. I'm writing here and there. I'm not really... Writing still feels like something, like, I can maybe do eventually, but doesn't feel like I can do something like that kind of thing, like, right after college. until about, I don't know, like 11th grade, junior year of college. I locked myself in my room. I finished that 20-page script that I started. I get it to 90 pages. So I think at that point maybe I'd already gotten it to like 30 or 40, but I locked myself in my room till I finish it. I put it on Reddit, and I get some feedback, and I remember, oh, this is this person that wanted me to show them the script whenever I finished it. And I kind of like look back through my Reddit inbox, and I find the message, and I find that person, and I DM them on Reddit, and I send them the script. I'm like, I don't know if you remember me, but I finished the script. If you still want to read it, here it is. No worries if not. And I kind of forget about it. I end up kind of just wanting to move on and kind of like keep working on my creative endeavors. So I end up saving up and getting my first camera. It's a Canon SL3. I get off eBay. It's like a whole kit for like $400 or $500. I'm working at like the Chick-fil-A in my college town, so I'm making basically minimum wage, but I put that money away. And it's like a Canon SL3. It comes with a little kit lens, like batteries, SD card, like the little camera case, ND filter, all that kind of stuff. And so I started kind of messing around with that. And then a little while later, that person on Reddit gets back to me. It's like, oh, it's funny you should remember me. Like, I'm hardly on Reddit, but I came across this thing. I read the whole thing. Here's some notes. And then he's like, here's my email. Do you want to like trade scripts? I have something I'd love for you to read. And so, yeah, he sends me something. We kind of go back and forth on notes. He ends up saying like, well, let's hop on a call. Like, let's chat. And I'm like, sure. It's just as awkward as it may seem to talk to someone even on the internet. It was a little awkward at first, but being this guy that's 2 years older than me, and became pretty good friends, just like texting about ideas and stuff. And like I ended up using the camera I wanted to write a script that I could actually film in my college town. And so I write that, put it on Reddit. So this might predate meeting my buddy Ethan, but some other person on Reddit reads through it, helps me kind of like get it to a place that I feel comfortable filming it. I go through like 4 or 5 drafts. And then around that time, I think I'd tell my buddy Ethan about it. We got on like a couple like Zoom calls or like FaceTime calls, and he like I think he watches it because I think I filmed it at that point, and he kind of like helps me like get it to a good place, and then I put it on YouTube. And anyway, we kind of just keep talking about ideas and stuff we want to work on. And like a few months go by, I get both of us into like an online writers group. A lot of these people are like all over the country, but a few of them are like in LA. So I'm starting to like meet people in LA, which is cool. Yeah. So then eventually I decide, oh, you know what? I do want to maybe continue this web series because I don't know what else I'm going to film out here. And so me and my buddy Ethan I met online, ended up co-writing like 4 more episodes to make 5 total. And me and my buddies in Georgia, where I'm from in college, we all sat down over like just different weekends and like shot 2 more of the 5 episodes, and then we weren't able to do any more of that because we just ran out of time. We all graduated and I had to move home and stuff, but I don't know, it was just good practice. And I think if I were to give anyone any advice, I would just say get your iPhone and film stuff. I mean, nowadays especially, back then that was 2020 and 2021, so like I had the iPhone like 10 or something like that, or like the 6 or whatever. iPhone cameras now are crazy. I have the 17 Pro, and it's just like this thing is almost as good as the camera I'm filming on right now. Just go out and make stuff. I'm sure I didn't do film school. I'm sure you learn a lot, but I think just doing it is the best way to learn stuff. And I learned a ton. Like that first episode to the second episode that I shot is night and day difference. It's like, oh, I actually know how to like pull focus a little bit. I know how to like make sure the shot looks right, the lighting's better, and all that kind of stuff. And the audio's better. Even doing things like the same thing twice, I think you'll notice a huge difference if you just like go back and watch the first thing. It's like, okay, what did I do poorly? And then looking at what you did poorly and then like working on like making specific things better the next time. I feel like everyone has that advice online if you look for filmmaking advice, but that's definitely good advice. I was told that, I've learned by that. There's bugs everywhere. Anyway, so then I graduate college, I go home, my parents give me 6 months free rent to live at home with them. I go back to doing like background work, 'cause that's the only thing I know how to do in the film industry. And I know for sure at this point I want to do film. I got a business degree, but towards the end of college is when I realized, oh, maybe this is actually possible if I like really focus on this. And so in that time I do background stuff. The Walking Dead filmed a county over from where I grew up. So like I used to go on the school bus in like high school and middle school. I would see zombies on the side of the road, and they were still finishing up the show when I graduated college. And I figured out what their like pseudonym was on the Facebook groups. And it was like, looking for a survivor type, and I'm kind of a scrawny dude, so I, applied to that, and I actually got to be what they call like a hero zombie. So they pulled me in like the full prosthetic makeup, put a picture right here. And so I got to go, get put in the full makeup, I got to like, you know, kill one of the characters. It's like season 11, episode 13 or something like that. But yeah, so I get to be on The Walking Dead. I was talking to more extras or like background actors on different things I was on, and I got to find out like what the show Atlanta, Donald Glover show, what that was filming under, like the name for that. So whenever I saw that pop up next, I applied to that. I got to work on Atlanta for a couple days. Central Casting, one of the agencies that I signed up through to do background acting, they reached out at one point. They saw my profile, and I guess I looked like a good fit to be Will Poulter's stand-in on Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So because I filmed that, you know, Fayette County, like 10 minutes where my parents live. And so I got to work on that for all of 2 days, but I got to be like on the Starship set. It was awesome. This was like this big Hollywood, you know, production. It was like beyond anything I'd ever seen at that point. It was so cool. And so I got to be a stand-in for 2 days. And being new to the industry, you know, they told me that, you know, Will Poulter's, I guess, like 6'4". He's also going to be in like platform boots to make him taller for the thing. And so they're like, you know, I'm 6'2". And like, you know, you should probably like, you know, bring platform boots, like bring like a wig or something. And I was like, in my head, I'm just like, oh, you know, this is Marvel. They're going to have that for me. But they didn't. And so I only worked like 2 days. And the story I was told was James Gunn was watching monitor when I was like, you know, standing in place while they were like lighting one of the scenes. And he was like, who's this short piece of shit? And I don't know, the rest is history. I didn't get invited back. Everyone was super nice. I'm not trying to diss James Gunn. Honestly, I think it's kind of funny that James Gunn was looking at me of all people and just like, you know, who's this short piece of shit? And I'm, you know, 6'2". I've never been called short in my life. Will Poulter was great. He was, every time he walked by to go on set as I was walking off, you know, he'd be like, oh, thank you, Ryan. And he seemed a little shy, very nice. I'm sure James Gunn is nice too. Yeah, anyway, so I got to work on that. My first PA gig I got by working on, as a background actor, on 6 overnight shoots in a row, like 6 nights in a row in this small town in Georgia called The Curse of Bridge Hollow. Is that what it's called? Yeah, The Curse of Bridge Hollow. It's a Netflix thing. It's like a Wayans Brothers movie. And I was working on that, and I was just trying to make friends with the PAs and just like, you know, every day just like, hey, do you need an extra PA? Do you need an extra PA? Do you need an extra PA? And I got one of their numbers after I finished the 6-day stint that I did, and as background. And then a couple of days later, he like reached out and he's like, actually, we do need a day player, like just a PA for a day if you're willing, if you're free this night, whatever. It's a night shoot up in Atlanta. And I said, yeah, absolutely. So I got to work as a PA on this. They blocked off this whole neighborhood, this whole cul-de-sac in a neighborhood, and it was just such a high scope. Again, it was just way out of my league, out of my depths, and it was a union job. It's like one of my first union jobs, and so like. I was a PA, and the scissor lift was coming through, and there's like this gear on the ground, and I was like, they're gonna hit it, so I was gonna move it and overwalk it here. No, don't touch that, because I guess that crosses like union rules or whatever. I don't know. I had no idea what I was doing, so I was very blessed to have that opportunity because yeah, so new. And anyway, so that wraps up like 2021. 2022 comes around. My dad has a friend that did like producing for like America's Got Talent or American Idol, all that kind of shows, whatever. And he reached out to him to help me kind of get more connections. It's like the only person that we knew in the industry. Sorry, there's bugs everywhere. Anyway, yeah, so my dad gets in touch with his friend. His friend says that they have, he knows a person trying to crew up a show, like a barbecue show in Georgia. So I get brought onto that. This is my full run show, or my first full run show. So I get started as like a set PA. And I'm you know, like there's like a lot of downtime on set, especially when they're like getting ready for a show, like it's like building up the set and everything. So the show hasn't started filming yet. So I'm going around to all the different departments. I'm asking if they need any help. I'm getting to know a lot of people, and I end up getting pulled into the culinary department because I need help with some like kind of monotonous stuff on cooking shows. A lot of them, at least. You can't have like brand logos because that could become like a legal issue. And so I spent like 3 days, like, you know, using like Goo Gone and, you know, hot water to scrub all the stuff off these bottles. And so I do that. I get to know these people pretty well. I'm trying to work as hard as I can, and I guess they notice, and so they start inviting me back every day to be like, hey, can we steal Ryan, you know, help us with the, you know, run of show for the day. And eventually, you know, working with them for so much, like for so long, I end up asking the line producer, like the coordinator, I forget what position she was, but Becky, if you're watching this, thank you so much. I asked her if I could switch, and eventually she said yes. And so I know that's like actually really unorthodox, and I was still pretty new, so the fact that I asked it, I feel like shows that. But she was very gracious. She let me hop over to culinary, and from there, at the end of the show, a lot of people were like moving over to Lego Masters, not the culinary people, but a lot of like the grip people and all that kind of stuff, and like the producers and stuff. And so I talked to them. I had made a pretty good name for myself on that set, and so someone brought me on as like a challenge PA. And so that was for Lego Masters. So that was like sorting all the Legos, when the contestants would build up a thing, we'd have to deconstruct it afterwards and put them all back and like reorganize and make sure that the set was stocked with Legos and all that kind of stuff. So I did that for a couple weeks, but then I got invited to Crime Scene Kitchen. And so it being freelance, I just had someone replace me. It was all good. I talked to the producers, made sure they were cool with that. And I hop shipped to Crime Scene Kitchen Season 2. I did that. That was like a 2-month job. It was union. It paid really well. And that was honestly the biggest reason I was able to afford to move out to LA, because I was getting paid so well and for such a long time. And I was living at home, and my parents were charging me rent at that point, but it was not a whole lot. It was like $200 or something like that a month, or like $400 or something like that. And so I do Crime Scene Kitchen until about May of 2022. And then I start around end of May. I do this show called Secret Chef for Hulu. It's like one of their only cooking shows. It's actually a really cool show, and I met a lot of cool people there that are LA based. So I do that, and around that same time, I'm like finding an apartment in LA. I'm like wanting to make the move. I think it's time to make the jump. I'm ready for something different. So I finished that show. I already have an apartment lined up at that point, and I move out to LA July of 2022. This is a good point to backtrack a little bit. My buddy Ethan, who I co-wrote the web series with, he's already out in LA. He knows some people out here, and he was showing me around the time we were finishing the web series. Some friends of his had like an Instagram page, and they were like crowdfunding for an indie TV show that they had put together. This is a few years prior to when I moved out, and so he was like, "Hey, follow them. They're kind of like doing something I think you would want to do." So you can kind of see how they're doing it. Watch them, see how they go about that process of like crowdfunding money to like put this thing together. So I did. And anyway, come back to 2022. It's like August or September. I'm not up to much. I'm kind of like, just sitting on my savings and kind of like trying to find work wherever I can. And they post on their story. I'm just like flipping through Instagram. They post on their story like, "Hey, we're looking for a behind the scenes photographer." And I swipe up. I'm like, "I'm available." And they say, "Do you have a camera?" And I said, "Yeah, I have the Canon SL3. And so they bring me on. I work hard. I do, I'm in just BTS, but I help PA and stuff. It's a pretty indie set. And I make a lot of friends on that thing. They bring me back for their final 2 weekends where they're filming the last little bit of it. And as a PA, and I help with sound, kind of just, it's kind of just a run and gun, just like, however you can help, you can help. So I made a lot of good friends on that set. And actually, my 2 roommates now, I met on that set. And a lot of my close friends I met through that set. So it's kind of this cool thing where I can backtrack a lot of what my life is now to writing that script when I was 18 in high school, to submitting that to Reddit, to meeting my buddy Ethan, to him showing me this production company, like the startup production company, and like meeting all my friends now through that, and like kind of getting work through them sometimes. Like the people that kind of like put the show together ended up producing on this indie movie that I worked on in 2023. So they brought me onto that as a PA, and I met my first few scripted contacts through that. And it's just cool. It's like the butterfly effect really is real. Like I really, I started from not knowing anyone or not really doing much except for writing a script that I thought was funny. And I can trace that moment to here. And it's just, if you ever want to get to this industry, I think just output, just make stuff. That's how you're going to meet people, and that's how you can start like growing your network, even if it is just like one friend on Reddit, And by the way, shout out Ethan. He's got a YouTube channel as well. It's Crown Obsidian. Check out his channel. He does like comic book creation videos and stuff. He makes his own comic books. He writes and illustrates all that. So Crown Obsidian, check that out on YouTube. He's great. We're still friends. Anyway, so I meet them in 2022. 2023 comes around. I work on that. I start the year with the culinary people that I knew from Georgia. They asked me if the girl that brought me on to culinary in the first job, her name's Jamie, she brought me on to a world's largest pizza thing, January 2023. So I started off the year by helping break a world record. So that was pretty cool. Also, before I did the pizza thing, still in 2022, I worked on like the pilot for Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. So I got to drive all the gear up, like all the grip gear up to Utah for a week. Worked on that. It was like kind of the concept pilot. So I think they used some of that footage, but not all of it, in what is now the actual pilot. But I worked on that. That was pretty cool. Yeah, 2023 comes around. I worked on helping break the world record for the world's largest pizza. And then soon after that, my friends from that indie show brought me on as a PA for this independent movie called Above the Line. It actually just got through some festivals, and I think is going to find a streaming home soon. I don't know. But I'm excited to watch that for the first time. Worked on that, met a lot of good people on that. A lot of actually close friends are still, I still have from that show, or from that movie. Met some people in the grip team. One of them brought me on to another indie movie right after that. So I got to grip on that for a few days as like a 5-day project. And then that summer kind of came around, wasn't up to much. I hit up that girl Jamie to see if she needed help on anything. She was like, it's great timing. I'm actually about to work on this show. It's like the small kind of show. So I worked on that for, I think it was a week-long job. But I just, busted ass and just worked as hard as I could. And then my friend Lauren, who's on all these shows with me, she's actually the one that brought me from show to show in Georgia, was on this show as well, because she works a lot with Jamie. And she kind of, I think, put it in Jamie's ear, like, Ryan's doing a good job. What if he came to Top Chef with us? And so I got the invite to Top Chef that year, 2023. They were shooting in Wisconsin. And it became this thing of, like, can you travel yourself there? Because you have to work as a local, but two of the people on our team are dating, so they each have their own hotel room from production, but they only really need one. So through this whole loophole, I got to go to Wisconsin for 2 months, work on Top Chef season 21, I think. So I did that, and then just busted my ass on that one as well, and got asked if I wanted to culinary produce on a barbecue show in Georgia at the end of the year, and that was actually the same show that I started on in 2022. So almost 2 full years later, from my very first show, I got to go from stage PA to set PA to the next season I was culinary producer. So that was like a really cool full circle kind of moment. I got to do that. I got to go back home. It was shooting like a county over, 2 counties over from where my parents lived. I had to work as a local again, but that was kind of, I think, the reason I got the job, or at least a helpful reason that I got the job. I mean, obviously, I was qualified for it as well, but I think, that was the first big, like, promotion to be like, hey, you're going to be producing. Like, that was for sure a big risk by my boss. So it was very cool of her to do that as well. I had a great time doing that. It's called American Barbecue Showdown. It's on, or maybe it's Barbecue Showdown now. It's on Netflix. So season 3, I got to culinary produce on that. And then, 2024 came around, and a different culinary producer asked if I wanted to, from there I went to Top Chef Dish with Kish, which was a spin-off sort of like show of Top Chef, because they had a new host, Kristen Kish. And so they were kind of like doing this like little mini-series that they would like tack onto the end of the episodes, I think. And so they did the first season in 2024. I got to assistant culinary produce on that. And then from there, a different culinary producer asked me if I wanted to dishwash on baking shows. And I was a little hesitant because, going from producing to assistant producing to dishwashing, which is the bottom of the department, I was a little hesitant, but I needed money. You got to keep working. So I was like, well, she doesn't know me as a producer. Only one person does really right now, or I guess 2 people at that point. So I kind of just, swallowed my ego. I took that job, and that ended up being like a full, it's supposed to be like back-to-back shows for me specifically, but they had like, 6 shows back-to-back. I went there, I worked really hard. They liked me, so they kept bringing me on to more and more shows. So that ended up being half of my year, which was great because I kind of seemed slow otherwise, work-wise. So I did that for a while in 2024. After that, or that same year, me and my friends started working on the other YouTube channel that we have, the Coen Brothers. We started posting videos to there because we just wanted to make stuff. Similar to like in college, I just wanted to make stuff. So you just kind of like sat down, and we just sat down and made ideas and just shot whatever we could. It's all very, homemade, but it's just stretching that muscle. Yeah, so we started making started the Coen Brothers channel. Started with 0 subscribers, just started making stuff. I think I did my first like commercial with Shaquille O'Neal. That was kind of another notable one. That was pretty cool. But that's kind of 2024 was a lot of like baking show, kind of like trying to figure out where I fit in the industry, because like I had kind of like at 25 years old got my first producing job. I'd worked on Top Chef, I produced, and now I'm back down to dishwasher, and I'm not really hearing from Jamie. I'm not hearing from these other people, which is always a little confusing, but that's just kind of how it goes. I think she was working a little bit less, and I didn't get invited back to Top Chef because they were going to Canada that season, and they could only bring so many people. And she already had her producers on that show, so she wasn't going to replace them with me. So that made sense that I didn't get invited back for that one because they had to hire PAs from Canada. So anyway, that was 2024. So I'm trying to figure out exactly where I fit in this industry now. And then the whole point of like moving out here was to make movies and TV shows, not necessarily like cooking shows and stuff. So I was kind of okay with the fact that maybe I wasn't going to be producing again for a while. And so 2025 comes around. I did Dish with Kish again. I did 24 and 24 under another producer. She was the one that ran the culinary department on the Secret Chef show for Hulu. So I knew her. She brought me on as a equipment person, so I was kind of like middle of the rung on that one. I wasn't producing, but I wasn't like PAing either. So I got to do that show. That was kind of a crazy show. That was actually that was in 2024 too. So I did that. They literally film the contestants for 24 hours, and there's like different shifts of crew that come in and run the show. So I did that in 2024 and 2025. I did more baking shows that summer in 2025. I submitted some scripts to the Austin Film Festival because I wanted to like really kind of be more strategic about getting more into writing again, because I kind of lost track of that a little bit. I mean, I was writing for like a Coen Brothers, YouTube channel, but I wasn't really writing as much as I should have been, and I'm still pretty guilty of that. So anyway, I submitted some scripts to the film festival, got those back this last November, got some good feedback, some not so good feedback. That's the whole thing I'm trying to figure out. Worked on my first vertical at the end of 2024, did a few more of those in 2025. And then towards the end of 2025, I started realizing, well, okay, if I don't, writing's going to kind of happen on my own terms. I kind of have to like write and get something that's worthy of being sold or produced or whatever. That's only going to happen if I make it happen. All that to say is I realized, okay, what can I do in the meantime? Because otherwise I'm just going to be doing culinary stuff and set PA stuff. And so I realized, okay, I like cameras. What if I start doing camera stuff? And so I started like telling everyone when I was on scripted stuff, like, hey, I'm trying to get into camera. I got to start getting more camera sort of things through that. The first ever time I slated, like you see on the BTS stuff, like the scene 1, take 1, Mark, that kind of thing. Got to do that for the first time ever in front of Jeff Goldblum on an apartments.com commercial, 2025. It's like October, so I don't know if I can put that picture on here. They're pretty strict on that set about pictures and social media and stuff, but I guess just trust me, bro. But yeah, I got to, if I ever see you in person, if anyone ever sees me in person, feel free to ask. I'll have that picture because it's near and dear to me. He was such a cool guy, very nice. He like asked me my name, remembered my name, very cordial. And so I got to slate in front of him as the first ever time I slated professionally. And anyway, yeah, so I worked on a music video 2025 as a PA, but I got to know all the camera people pretty well, and Shane Hurlbut was the DP for that one, and he is, if anyone knows, the DP that got yelled at by Christian Bale on that Terminator set forever ago. So I got to meet him. He's super cool. He's got a whole course and stuff. I got to work under him and learn a good bit for that one music video. And then yeah, so that was kind of the end of 2025. And now 2026 is here, and I'm just trying to figure out kind of like how to maneuver and stuff, and how to like kind of move on from where I've been and kind of transition more into like camera stuff is like my week-to-week job, my actual like day job, if you want to call it that. I'm trying to like tweak these scripts that I submitted last year to the festival, submit them again this year, see if I can't get them like pretty locked in. Submit my scripts to the film festival, and get them into a good spot where I can maybe pitch them sometime. Maybe I'll write a book this year or something, and in the meantime, just work on like really doubling down on like getting into the camera department. And yeah, I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at. That's how I got here. This is everything I've learned. Been doing this for 4 years, and yeah, I bought this camera. This is a Sony FX30. I bought this last October. I saved up for a few months and got this. So I'm just trying to film all our YouTube videos. We might be doing a short film soon, and now I'm doing this channel as well. Just trying to like. Any sort of exercise of just recording and getting better, color grading, everything, just working constantly on just trying to like, pursue the dream and like figure out this industry where it's just so self-generated. You have to kind of like get there by pushing yourself there. And I don't know, I've learned a lot over the years. I'm still learning a lot. I feel like this is kind of like an all over the place video. I hope this made sense. I kind of recorded it 3 different times just now because like the lighting was weird, and I hope I'm not still overexposed. I might be. I can't see the screen at all. My phone is overheated. So all that to say is thank you for watching. That's the story of how when I was a kid I realized I wanted to do this, and how I actually like went about getting into this industry, and the positions I've worked in, the shows I've worked on, and how I've gotten here. And thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys soon. I'm gonna post again on Thursday, every Monday and Thursday, or most Mondays and Thursdays. I'm gonna post videos. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I'll answer whatever I can, or even in like another video or in the comments or something. So, but yeah, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys soon. Thank you so much. See ya.